season.
That it's my season.
You ought to declare that over your own life. Say, I believe.
I believe
That it's my time.
that it's my time.
It's my time.
It's my time.
And I can feel it.
I can feel it.
Say breakthroughs in the room.
Breakthroughs in the room.
It's yours if you want it. Anticipating.
Anticipating.
God's getting ready to move.
God's getting ready to move.
Listen, you ought to declare that.
WLIF HD2 Baltimore.
The all-new Praise 106.1, giving our city just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station. Praise 106.1.
From the Big Al Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney.
The views and opinions of the guests and hosts you hear are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or its advertisers.
African Voices Radio presents David Adodo Show on 106.1 FM.
Cloud9 Media.
Ha! This song is for every child of God. So if you know you are a child of God, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, make it dance now, oh yeah, it's okay now. Ha! My head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belong to Jesus. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to you. My head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to Jesus. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to Jesus. Oh yeah, this na verse 1. I will lift up my hands in the verse 1. I will start to the dance in the verse 1. I will start to rejoice in the verse 1. Oh yeah, for the verse 1. If you know how to dance, make you bend down. If you know how to praise, make you bend down. Make you bend down, bend down, bend down. Oh that down man will praise his name for his goodness and for his grace. And never ever stop to praise. Never ever stop to praise. Oh that down man will praise his name for by his blood, yes, we overcame. And never ever stop to praise. We give ourselves to you this day, Lord. My head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to Jesus. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to you. My head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to Jesus. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. It all belongs to Jesus. Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. My Bible tells me so. All of me through Him.
Are we live?
When I'm weak,
Yes, we're live. Somebody bring us in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is African Voices Radio, and we're having David Adodo Show. On the show this evening, we're going to be talking about everything that's going on around us in the United States and also in Africa. As usual, I have the gang with me. We're going to start introducing ourselves, starting with the lady in the house, the queen.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of David Adodo Show on Praise 106.1 FM here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's nice to be here again. I hope we all have a nice week. I did. It's going to be beautiful today. Today is July 1st, and we know what that means in America. Thank you.
Mr. Charles.
Hey, what's up, gangs? You're welcome back to another David Adodo Show this Saturday. First of all, happy 4th of July to everyone. We're going to have a wonderful show, and everybody have been barbecuing outside. And please be safe as you go through the 4th of July celebration.
Well, of course, we also have our host and benefactor, Mr. David Adodo, on the show as well. Mr. Adodo.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to another episode of David Adodo Show. My name is David Adodo. Thank you. You all have a wonderful 4th of July. Today is Americans' independence, and we're having fun. And today is going to give us a big show today.
Oh, yes, as usual. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. But Queen, I don't understand what's going on. Did you get the memo? You can see that Mr. Charles and Mr. Ludo have a hat on their head. We don't have a hat on. No.
I didn't get the memo.
I don't know. I didn't get the memo myself.
I did not. See, I told you. Now they remove her from the caucus.
The thing is that she got the memo, but she's looking at the wrong one. Remember, she joined in with an old joining meeting number. So
I did not get the memo. I did not get the memo.
So she missed it.
So that's okay, Queen. Next time we're going to put on our own hat. Don't worry.
We're planning.
But look at you, Tunde. You don't really look at you. Look at all your neck. Look at your neck. Look at the Queen's neck. Come on. Look at me and Dave's neck. Nothing on our neck.
No, for Mr. David, for Mr. David, you can't even see. He's always in one thing or the other. He's always with his face cap. Yeah, I know that.
Today.
So, ladies and gentlemen, so let's get the show going. Today is the 4th of July in the United States. It's America's independence. This great country is 224 years old today. So America has come a long way. July 4th means a lot to different people. It depends on who you talk to, who you ask. So first and foremost, I'd like to ask Mr. Jason, our studio engineer, who is the African American all through and true, to tell us what July 4th means to him, and then the rest of us will chip into it. Mr. Jason, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear. So what's July 4th to you?
I guess just a day. It's supposed to be a day to take it easy and, cook out, shoot off some fireworks. But it's interesting. We celebrate July 4th, but technically the Declaration of Independence was declared on July 2nd. It was actually signed and kind of redrafted on July 4th. And that's what kind of moved forward to be the observance day.
Okay. All right. So besides the barbecuing and everything else, July 4th to me, it's not just the independence from the British, because at that point, America got their independence from the British, and the British were driven away. So over the years, July 4th has manifested in different ways with different meanings of, African Americans to, immigrants and everybody. It depends on who you talk to. So I would like to hear from you. What is the significance of July 4th to you besides just the independence?
Well, for me, it's a little hard because we know that the 13th Amendment wasn't signed and adopted until December 18th, 1865. So, the Declaration of Independence was declared in 1776. Even though America had declared this independence from British rule, technically African Americans enslaved in America still weren't able to really celebrate that independence, not until 1865, almost 100 years later. So what's interesting is that Frederick Douglass had a famous speech that he wrote and spoke on the 4th of July. It was actually named "What to the Slaves is the 4th of July." And he was speaking before a group of abolitionists and talking about how this country has declared independence and freedom for all men, except for the enslaved in this country at this time. So, again, although we celebrate the independence of this country from British rule, we know that America was still enslaved at that time. And even now, you're talking about it's the 224th anniversary of Independence Day in America. And we see that Black Americans still do not have true independence in this country.
Wow. So, Queen, what do you think about this celebration? I want to bring the food aspect into it, because when it comes into food, we have to go to the ladies. So what are the things that you think we can do celebrating July 4th? I don't know if you have something, if you're grilling something so we can come over after the show, or, what's going on, Queen? Can the Queen hear me?
I'm sorry. Yes. Well, unfortunately, I'm not really a food person. I don't really enjoy cooking, although I have a husband that cooks very well, and I have a daughter that food is her specialist. So I miss them because right now nobody is home with me. They all abandoned me, so to say. They're just in their own little world. But I was able to hang out with a few friends with a beautiful long social distance yesterday. We had the barbecue, although we were not really close together the way we used to, right? So we're like talking to ourselves from afar, and the most thing we're talking about is just this independent, what it meant, especially for the Black Americans. That was the basic things we really spoke about yesterday, and I was able to learn a whole lot of things because some of the people we hung out together yesterday were actually Black Americans. So I learned a whole lot. And, one of them kept saying that when we people are talking, you guys, the migrant that came after the whole thing that happened, you don't understand. That you don't understand that you are talking, that somebody like me, I was talking from my own perspective, that you don't understand what is going on. For people to be enslaved for a very long time, and they're really marginalized, that no matter what is in them is like something that is inborn. The self-esteem has been lost, and getting it back, the society is not really helping them to get it. Irrespective of whatever they do, they are trying their best. Even in we're talking about education sector, when you see a lawyer or a doctor, the way they practice, the way they treat them is different. So that we cannot understand, and I'm trying to understand. I think the real thing that we spoke about yesterday that really got me was the family value. The family value that have been lost in the Black community. Because I believe in Africa, we believe that the husband is the head of the family. And we respect our husband. And we see them as, like if your child is having funny behavior, when you say, I'm going to report you to your daddy, you see them begging and behaving themselves. And that has really lost in the Black American community. So that is the aspect we're trying to see. I said we need to be sensitized about women having their husband by their side. Of course, the society have made them to believe that men, they don't need men in their life because they have other things that come to them. But when you see what comes to them, money is not everything. We need to be together. We need men to raise our children for us. We need them, they are our backbone. We women can only sit at the back and support them. Like they always say, behind any great man, there is a woman. Whatever you want your man to become, it depends on the wife. If you want your husband to be great, when you stand by him, you encourage him, you talk to him, oh, you can do it, don't worry, you fail now, he's not going to be a failure forever. I'm with you, God is with us. Let's do it again. The confidence will come back, the man will be happy, it will look forward to a brighter future. The children will be well groomed, they will become great in life. But when that is missing, what can women do? What are we breeding? What are we breeding? So for Black American women, that was actually what we discussed yesterday. I'm still going to ask Jason a few questions on how certain things can be done because I still need to learn more about this and to see the way forward. I don't want us to live at the back. So when something happened, it's like a scar. When you have a wound, the scar is there. And you always remember that this happened to me sometimes ago. But the bottom line is we need to move forward. How can we fix it? Yes.
Queen, if you don't have anybody here, I'm up for adoption. So I'm expecting, you can serve me some jollof rice.
That's a good one. That's a good one, So, but I wanted to bring Mr. Charles into the discussion because I'm looking, Mr. Charles. So, we're looking at America. It's 224 years old. And then we look at some of these other countries that we always compare ourselves. America has come a long way. 224 years is not a joke. Mm-hmm. America has gone through a lot to get to this point where they are right now. But amidst all that experience and how long they have come, we still find issues of racism and stuff like that in America. You would think that a 224-year-old man would be so experienced that he would know certain things, are not in place. In comparison to places like Africa, so what do you think in comparing African countries? In Africa, we have tribalism. In America, we call it racism, even though we're not as old as they are.
That's true. Tunde, I think you nailed it when you said American being 200 and something years. In the age of wisdom, it's an old man, and the older you get, the more wisdom. So it's just so unfortunate. Yeah, you said most African countries, I don't think there's one. Their independence is probably up to 60 years. I don't even know which one. Most of them sorry?
Most of them are above 60.
Most of them are above 60.
Above 60, okay.
Yes.
But let's say less than 80. Well, they are independent because Nigeria, that you can consider as giant of Africa, is just 50-something years old or something. So in that comparison, you can see that's sometimes I say these African countries, yes, we still have a long way to go. But you can understand that this country is based on legal, based on law. African countries are based on culture. Okay, mostly it is culture. That's why sometimes Americans go down to Africa, try to do some certain things. They find it kind of difficult in trying to, implement whatever the ideas is of the Western world, because African countries are really governed and based on culture. Family extended system works more. There's nothing like there's nothing like American family here. But based on what the Queen just said, believe me, whenever I mention your dad, you will kneel down and beg your mom, please, I will not do it again, as long as my dad doesn't hear that. But it's not the same here. As old as this great country is, I don't know, maybe because of the legal and the law system that's kind of hinders some men on things that I can do, okay? It's not that men doesn't want to discipline. That's not, everybody wants to discipline their children, but there's this law attached to it. There's some of these laws attached to you trying to discipline your son. Like
corporal punishment, like you would do back home. You cannot, all that kind of stuff.
These are the problems we have when it comes to raising children in this country compared to raising it in other countries. But this country have come a long way that you would think, racism, they might have gotten hold of it, address it, and but if you look back, I don't know what making America great means. We can remember that some people it depends on who you talk to. Making America great is probably going back to those days, when they think America was great, and then the racism was you can't do nothing, and so. But if you look at it in the literal meaning of making America great, I don't think that so far with all these 200 and something years of independence, that racism has been addressed properly the way it's supposed to be.
I want to bring Mr. Adodo into this.
Family, real quick. Liberia is the oldest independent and democratic republic. It's 169 years independent.
Yes, Liberia, because of course the slaves that were let go from here, that were able to make it back to Africa, went back to Africa, and then that's how Liberia came to be. Right. So if you look at the flag, it's similar to the flag of the United States as well.
And they use dollar also.
Yes, and they use the dollar, but their dollar is not as powerful as the United States dollar. I wanted to go to Mr. Adodo to tell us what, from the business perspective, what July 4th means to him as a businessman doing business in America as compared to doing business in Nigeria.
Yeah, honestly speaking, 224 years is a wonderful year. This is unbelievable that this country for 224 years they've been in existence, and this is a great country. We must give it to America. Yeah, there is no country on their own. No country. Yeah, there is no country in my view that is as great as this country. We definitely, I'm a citizen of this country, and we have our problems, just like every other country in the world. But America is a great country, like I'm trying to say, and I don't know why somebody is interfering. It's a great country. It's helping a lot of other countries. There's no country in this world that helps other countries like America. No country, not China, where they are coming up now, gradually helping other countries. Not Russia, even the British. They are not doing as much as America is doing. Like I said, every country have their problems. Racism is here. It's been here for a very long time, but that does not take away the fact that this is a place where you can set up a business. As a businessman, this is a place where you settle. If you work hard, you are going to gain a lot in this system, this country. You understand? I started my business less than 30 years ago, and God has blessed me in this great country. I came to this country with $90, but today I've been able to. I don't want to say how much I'm worth, but I have been blessed by this country. That doesn't mean there's no racism, even to business people. Also, like me, we have it's very difficult for a black man, even worse for an African, to have access to loans and to other government benefits. Since I've been in this country, I've not benefited anything from the government.
Even though you're a citizen.
Even though I'm a citizen, I've not benefited anything from the government. There's no local government, no county government, no state government, no federal government can say, David Adodo, we gave you $1. So when I see some Americans sometimes trying to grudge me for being successful, I resent it. I put a sign in my office. Say, don't come over here with your racism. I work hard for every bit of my money. So, but this country is a great country. I appreciate the fact that people come in here, and they are successful. Another thing I want to say, we Africans, we also have to be very, very grateful to African Americans. Like I've said in my previous show, that they paved the way. They paved the way for us Africans to come in, and we just blend. We are not like the Spanish people that have to be being deported every time, at the borders. We don't have that. We don't have that because we are able to blend with our brothers and sisters here, the African Americans. So we owe them a lot. They've been through a lot. They've carried the cross for us, and that's why when I see African American, I respect them. I respect them just for the simple fact that they've been through a lot. You understand? But the racist part of it is what I still don't understand why. The white Americans why they cannot come to the realization that these people have been here, African Americans have been here for so many years, and they have contributed immensely to this country. And it is time for them to realize that, listen, all human beings are equal. We're all the same. Because if you cut the skin, all you're going to get is blood. So I think, that, yes, American is 224 years, but there are so many issues confronting them, just like every other country. So it is time they begin to rectify some of these mistakes, some of these things that are endemic in their system. This racism of a thing.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Adodo. Mr. Jason, did you have something to say? I thought you were going to say something.
No, I agree with him. I think that we live in a great time and there's great possibilities and great opportunity in this country, not just for Africans coming into this country, but for Africans that are already here in this country, and that are descendants of enslaved people. Like David Adodo said, you can set up a business, be successful if you work hard. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. There's only 3 things I always tell folks that this country affords you. That's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And pursuit is one of those action words. You have to put some sweat equity into it in order to
a lot of it, Jason.
Yes.
Mr. Jason.
Tunde, I know that Dave said something about if you set up a business as an African American, that you will actually work so hard. The thing is, what do you describe as working that so hard? You have the same business. A white person have the same business. It's just like education in this country. As an African American, you have to study 3 times, or you have to go to interview and perform 3 times stronger than somebody that you have to degree with. And at the same time, with the kind of business, he said, yes, I know he can say it now, but how hard did he work? He worked harder than he's supposed to, because we know what, some of the things. Why I'm saying this is because everybody knows that Dave is my senior brother. So I know what he went through. And I know what his counterpart in the same business does. Okay, at some point, like he said, we have to why should you put a sign on your door that, racism is not authorized? You can't do that, because he has gone through steps and steps and steps. They don't, that help is not there. And he knows that he's entitled to it as a human being, as an American, and as anything else. But he can't get it. And he's not the type that gives up. I mean, but not everybody that has that kind of, we're too different. People are so different in the way they take things. But he's kind of a person that no matter what, he keep going and giving. That does not mean that he did not experience it. He experienced more than he's supposed to anyway. But then again, thank God he was able to, overcome some of those. But racism in this country for 224 years plus. There's no doubt this is a great country, but when you tie that greatness compared to other countries that's great, I don't know any country that is as great as America. Anyway, China is, but every country have their own problem. China is not a problem of racism. Their problem is internal of their fellow human citizens, whatever. They are not like you are white or green. They're all Chinese or China people. But here, I mean, this is a country that is based and built on foreigners to start with. So why is that black race, worse than the other ones? Because there's a lot of race in this country. Everybody, most of everybody. If you trace your great, outside the Indians, we talked about it Jason talked about one of this program here. Outside the Indians that own, so everybody apparently, came from somewhere. So what's wrong with our own?
I think that's what's important about Independence Day, is that we look at each year that comes by and celebrate our independence from the overall establishment. We need to create more black businesses, because more black businesses put more money into black communities. David hires black. He supports other black businesses as well. So I think it's important, that each Independence Day that we look at creating our own independence. There's nothing wrong. The Jewish community practices what they call pluralism. So they operate as a community. They operate as a nation within a nation. And we have to understand that that's our greatest independence. Our greatest independence is to practice that pluralism, build our nation, work with our brothers and our sisters from the African diaspora, build our communities, black communities, and continue to turn that money over within our black communities. I think that's the greatest thing that we can do, every Independence Day, is keep achieving that more and more, so that we don't have to look at these issues. Well, the white man's not doing business with me. Well, who cares? We do business with ourselves. We are the greatest consumers in this country. Almost $3.9 trillion is spent in the black community. We need to learn how to leverage that money and keep that within our community. That's our Independence Day.
Amen.
Mr. Jason.
Yes, go ahead, Queen.
I have a question for you, because when I sit among my friends, we discuss a lot. Mr. Adodo just talked about, opportunity, which is true. Opportunity is given to people to become whatever they want to become in this country. But some of my Black American friends, they always say the system gives opportunity to foreigners than they call Black Americans. Mr. Jason, is it true?
I mean, there are some advantages of someone coming in and having some of those exemptions of not necessarily being a naturalized citizen. But I think that too many times we use these things as crutches. You know, we want to blame everybody else but ourselves. You know, you don't hear David Adodo saying that he blames everyone else for his business failures and his business success. He talks about his hard work, and in some cases having to work 2 and 3 times harder. If that's the case, so be it. Work that hard, make the difference, and if anything, pave the way so that someone else coming up doesn't have those obstructions or doesn't run into those systematic issues that David Adodo ran into. And I think that's the greatest thing that we can do is once we learn the formula, like David knows the formula. David understands the American capitalist business environment. Once he's understand that environment, now it's important for him to bring in other people, to help other people to build their Black businesses, connecting we talk about this all the time, connecting the continents, connecting Africa and Black Americans here so that we can do business together, because there are plenty of needs in Africa that we have here that we can easily build a relationship and build strong businesses together. So it's important once you figure out that secret sauce, you know, and you understand it, to share it with other Black Americans, to share it with other Africans living in America so that they can be successful, so that they don't have to go through these obstacles. But I find these, you know, we talk about this all the time, you know, on urban radio, you know, the man does this and the man does that, you know, but what are you doing to break those systemic, you know, boundaries? What are you doing to break those glass ceilings? You know, there are plenty of glass ceilings that are being broken in this country every day for Black Americans and Blacks coming in from every part of the world, whether it's Jamaica, you know, whether it's Africa. So what are you doing to break that glass ceiling? And then once that glass ceiling is broke, what are you doing to reach one, teach one, and help the next person to build up so that they don't have to go, you know, through these systematic barriers and obstacles that they went through. So
to pull the next person up.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yes. What I want to add is this: we have to get involved in the politics of the day. We have to be able to vote for our people. Vote for your people. If we vote for our people, we will be able to go into their office and tell them what our needs are. It's not easy to go to a white man's office and tell the white man that you want this in your community.
Exactly.
Most of the time, they won't listen to you. You can't even go into their offices. But if we vote for our people, they live amongst us. They know the problems that we encounter. They will be able to be able to come in and help. It was a time when I was looking for a loan, and I wasn't actually looking for a loan. A company came to my factory to do some job, and as we were talking, he said, "Are you how did you get a loan to do this?" I said, "Where do I get a loan? How can I get a loan? It's not easy to get a loan." He said, "There's a Black bank, Harbor Bank. Go to Harbor Bank. That's for Black people. They will give you a loan." I was like, Harbor Bank is for Black people? It was like stereotype. But at least we have a bank. Right. We have a bank that we can say that is our bank. But we have to be able to vote for our people. During election, we have to participate. We have to come forward to be elected. When you are elected into office, you will be able to help your people. I'm telling you, you see the way the president is behaving now, is gravitating towards white people. Obama was there, but he did his own little for Black people. But if we have from the ground,
for the whole country.
From the grassroots up, we have our own people there. Things will be better for us. And racism, we begin to curb racism because we have our own people that we are dealing with. Another thing that Jason made mention of is that when foreigners come over here, honestly, we are not entitled to anything. No, we are not entitled to anything. We fight tooth and nail to make sure that we succeed in this country. I used to travel to Texas. I would load my truck up with smoked fish, smoked chicken, and smoked turkey. I would drive from Washington, D.C. to Texas. It takes me 1 week to get there and come back. I will go to Chicago when I come back. When I finish from Chicago, I will come back and go to Massachusetts. When I come back, I will go to Atlanta, go to Florida, just to make sure that I am successful. Because I know I'm not going to be able to get a loan. Because if you go to the white man's band, they will tell you, go and bring this. Whatever they are telling you to bring is like telling you to go and exhume your grandmother from the grave, which is basically impossible. You understand? So, but if we have our own people over there at the banks, it will be able to help us. So we work hard. If you want to be successful in this country, don't rely on the government. Government is not going to do much for you. You have to work hard. You have to work hard. And again, the system, sometimes, the inspector that will come and inspect you is a white man 99.9% of the time. The police officer on the highway that is going to pull your truck over is a white man. So everything is against the black man. It's not easy for the black man to survive in this country. Realistically speaking, we have to say the truth. It's not easy for the black man to succeed in America. We are trying our best. The way we hustle, the way we struggle to succeed, no, it's no white man that struggle the way we struggle, honestly speaking. But we don't have a choice. We have to keep. We cannot fold our arms and say, "Oh, because the white man is getting it easier." Then we have to fold our hands. We have to work hard. That's how I say it.
Talking about
Tunde, that's something that the question to Jason was that some of these African Americans are saying that the foreigners coming here, there's a law that favors them. Believe me, Jason, no law. There's no law. There's no law out there as far as I know. Okay? As far as I know. And at least the people that I know also. A little bit, I can talk to my wife too. She's a lawyer. I don't think there's a law out there that favors foreigners because they are foreigners.
It's a misconception. It's definitely a misconception.
It's a misconception.
But even when we come here, if you get into school, you have to pay out-of-country tuition, which is higher than what there's nothing like that as far as I know. I know we talked about
Charlie.
They were saying something about Mexico. Remember that Mexico is at the border. Okay, yes. So for us, you can come. You got to fly to come in here. You got to go through the process. I'm talking about Africans.
Yes.
So Mexicans. So at some point, if I'm not mistaken, California, San Diego, those areas that used to be Mexico, but so they are bordered, so they can always cross. They can cross. I mean, if they can cross, they can cross. So it's easier for them. But other foreigners that are They come into this country, they flee into this country, they go through the immigration system, as much as, believe me, some of the immigration systems are not that favorable either. So some black people get upset sometimes. I see that on social media that these foreigners come here and do. There's nothing, as far as I know.
It's white foreigners that get something.
Here, we really don't want to get into trying to go get that help or trying to go get that whatever that is meant for people, what do you call it, Section 8 or social, whatever. Yeah. It is something, I said, Africans, we are built on culture. Things like that is not really part of what we grew up with. So
I think there's actually more there's actually more advantages to Americans than there are folks coming into the country. But what happens is a lot of times is most foreigners that come in stay within their community and stay within a collective group. And that helps them economically in many cases. For instance, it's not uncommon for Central Americans to come and live in one household. Sometimes 10, 12 people in one household. And they share expenses, and they pay rent together, or they share the utilities, and it makes it easier for them to come over here. Whereas us as Americans, we share the burden of everything. You know, and a lot of cases we're operating singularly, so we're not operating in a collective community group. So, but that gives a lot of folks that come into this country an advantage, because they are working as a collective community and helping to, just help each other financially and economically to sustain themselves while they're here. And that does seem to look like a unfair advantage in some cases,
Mr. Let me say something. Like, the United States has been giving out money, for the past few weeks, or a month or 2 months, to help businesses. I can guarantee you that a lot of Africans didn't even get pennies from the government. We didn't get money from the government. Some of us didn't even, there was some checks that were mailed to different houses, different individuals. I've asked a lot of my fellow Africans if they received 1,000 something or 1,500. They are telling me they didn't receive anything. I didn't receive anything.
You're a businessman. You're
I'm an American. I didn't receive anything.
You're not going to get
exactly. So
enough. So this is, it's based on numbers. So it's based on salary.
Yeah. So I would like to move on from this topic. What I understand from what everybody is saying is that we all should come together, work collectively as Black people, and when you're successful, pave the way for other people to come behind you as well. The more Black people that are successful, that we have, the more we take care of racism and some of all these problems that we have. This is a great country, like everybody has said. We have the option to choose our leaders and who we want in office. November is around the corner, so everybody should not sit back and say, "Oh, I didn't go to vote." November is around the corner. Everybody needs to come out and vote. Vote your conscience. Vote for people that that are going to represent your interests, so that way we can all move forward. I'd like to go over now to the next topic, which I want to put up, which is what we always talk about all the time on this show. Unfortunately, we don't have the doctor in the house, but we all can still contribute to it, which is the issue of the coronavirus. It is spiking up in some states that opened up early, states like Florida, states like Texas and Houston. It is going up ridiculously. So, Mr. Charles, I do not know if you have the latest numbers on the situation in the United States right now concerning. When I look at the Johns Hopkins website, I see globally it's 11 million people.
On Johns Hopkins, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 11 million people globally. And the global death is 527,000. Total test results in the United States is 34 million. It keeps increasing every day. The and then here we have people going to the beach. It's 4th of July. I know we all want to celebrate. There's nothing wrong with that. There's social distancing and everything else, but we have people going to the beach. No social distancing. Some people don't even believe there's a virus. They don't wear masks, and stuff like that. We don't have the doctor to speak to it, but each one of us can at least make some contributions to what we see.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Queen.
Okay. When we're talking about this COVID-19, of course, everybody knows that it's real. Like what we discussed yesterday, I think people are bored and they want to go out. But why going out? Because we need to think very well. We need to think, Dave, that, okay, if anything happens to you or your family or somebody bringing anything into the family, the whole family, they're affected. So the best way that people can do, because I see a lot of people yesterday heading towards Ocean City, they're going to the beach. They don't care no more. People should care. They should know that this thing is still out there. We should talk to ourselves. We should value life. Of course, this thing, I'm sure this COVID is not going to go. We need to go out. We can't continue to stay indoor. People will get depressed, the more. But while going out, we should try and maintain social distance. We should try and have sanitizers with us. We should try, if possible, have soap, have your water, maybe inside your car. So wash your hands regularly, wear your mask. A whole lot of companies are producing masks now. So we cannot say, okay, you can't get it to buy or it's so scarce. No, buy them, be conscious of whatever you do. If you don't have anything to do out there, do not go. The malls are open now. I'm so surprised the way people are rushing to the mall. What are they looking for?
I have a surprise for you guys. I know I said the doctor is not here, but I have magically brought the doctor in. Doctor, welcome to the program.
How did you do that? How did you do that?
Hey, that's the power I have. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so maybe
that's right.
Maybe
doctor, welcome to the show.
Maybe before the doctor will say something, maybe Mr. Jason will say something, especially to the Black community, about keeping safe in this pandemic, because I see a whole lot of people out there passing the Black community. What can you say to them?
I think the best thing to do is we have to move with caution. I think I know that we're, antsy. We've been in the house for so long. We want to get out. I miss hugs. I'm a hugger. So when I'm out in the community, I miss giving hugs to people and just greeting them. But we have to really rule on the side of caution. The young ones are the ones that seem to be invincible and are the ones that are spreading it the most. And we have to be careful because we're seeing it all over the country. It's starting to flare back up. So, my suggestion is to rule on the side of caution. I always keep a mask. I'm always out with the mask on or some sort of face covering. I wash my hands. And I even see some folks now wearing gloves. If you have to, wear gloves, because that does create a barrier between you and any surfaces. But, let's just be safe. Like we want to be able to see each other and celebrate next Independence Day.
So, doctor, you came in on the right queue. We're here talking about.
I was listening to the outro when I was driving.
Oh, wonderful.
Discussion, really, very interesting discussion.
Good. So we had an 11-year-old that died in Florida. We had an 11-year-old that died in Florida. From corona. I think it's the youngest person that has died so far in Florida from this virus. So can you talk to, I don't know, most of the people that are getting infected now are the younger ones, below 40. The party goers, the nightclub goers and stuff like that. No matter what you say, it's like, it's that thing in that generation or that teen age. It's like you tell your child, don't do this, and they still want to try to do it. I think that's the thing that's affecting. If you look at the pictures we're seeing on TV, most of them are very young people. They are just socializing. There are even people having corona parties in which they are raised. The prize is if you get infected. Somebody who is infected comes in there, they know the person is infected and tries to give it. And anybody that gets that virus gets the cash prize. I don't understand how people will be doing things like that.
Well, the way I would say it is while we're trying to say that a lot of people have not been compliant, so many people have actually also been very compliant to keeping to whatever it takes to reduce the scourge of the virus. I was just coming from DC and the streets were almost empty. The cars are still on the road, but almost everyone was on lockdown. I drove around, I took my family around, and we were just, driving around from Virginia down to all the major streets in DC and just trying to see the usual crowd. I was doing my own personal study, but the streets were virtually empty. The police were doing their job. People are very responsible, and I want to commend almost everybody. There was a study that came out from Harvard on the compliance rate, and close to like 8 in every 10 were doing their best, either doing hand washing or doing face masks. So it's very commendable, but there's still a lot of work to be done. The reason why you see the disease is affecting the younger population is that the older population now are already aware, kind of, sort of. They know that they are on the receiving end. If they get it, they have more likelihood to have coexisting morbidities, and they are more likely to die. And so they're having strict observations to this law. The younger ones, like me, like young people, like Jason,
like me.
People don't want to be restricted. It's normal to see rebellion in anything, because I don't want to be tied at home. I don't want to lose my job. Man is a social animal. That's how I put it. So it's going to take a while before a new culture, a new way of life begins to dawn on people that this is the new way of life. And it's really going to take a lot.
Wow.
I also commend various state governments, the county governments, even the federal government. They've really done their best. There's more to be done, but they're doing so much.
Yeah, they're doing so much. But when the messages when the message counters each other, if we're all staying on point, everybody stay home, put on your mask. If the leaders are emphasizing that, because what I see is that there are some leaders out there that are not pushing for that. Yeah. And so that creates some kind of, contradiction to what is coming out of the CDC. So that is not a good thing. We all should be on the same page. This is a health issue, regardless of who you are. It's a public health issue. Put on your mask, stay 6 feet away, stay home, so we all can be well. We have to be well to open up the economy. We cannot be sick and open up the economy. We can't go nowhere. The economy is going to go down because we're going to keep shutting down. So we have to be well first. Health comes first. When we're well, then we open up the economy. Then everybody's happy. That should be the way we should be going. I also don't want to end this program without us talking about our beloved country, Nigeria. It's been raining heavily over there in Nigeria, especially in reference to Edo State. The streets are so flooded, and of course, the quality of the kind of buildings and houses that we have in some places there, flood everywhere. People's businesses, homes are getting flooded and everything. Our Edo man is here. Mr. Adodo is here. If he can tell us what is the governor doing about this? What is the governor doing about this situation of this flooding and all? Because it's an election year, so you have to do something for people to vote for you. You have to show accountability that you have done something, so that you can win people's vote for a second term. Although if you don't do that, then you open the window for your opponents to come in and say, hey, I can do better than him. So Mr. Adodo, let me throw the ball to your court. If you have anything from Edo State.
I don't like you dragging me into the politics of Edo State.
You are our Edo man.
Drag him.
He's our Edo man here. He's our Edo resource.
But you can't shy away from the fact that you're from Edo State.
You have to approach with caution, Dave. Like you said, he's trying to drag you into that. I don't know if that was the intention, because the chief is not here today.
Yeah, don't worry. Next week we're going to have somebody that will give us some insights to all those things from Nigeria.
I can take the bullet on his behalf.
Okay, you can take it on his behalf.
Can I take the bullet on his behalf? Okay, let me add something.
Go ahead, Doctor.
And I'm surprised he doesn't have anything, because he's been ranting on Facebook the last couple of days about the election. So,
because I'm also from Edo by extension, I schooled there, so I spent over 10 years schooling there. So, the topography of the soil, first of all, I'll blame the topography of the soil, is different from what we have in other states. There's a particular road, the New Benin Road, the New Benin going to Borough Road.
Yes.
That road has been constructed over and over and over and over again. But every time it keeps flooding. It's either the quality of the construction is very bad, or they are just intentionally doing a shoddy job. One of these two. You can't tell me, because every particular government that comes into power, reconstructs that road. So there's something wrong. It's either they're not pumping enough money, the quality of the job is terrible, or the topography is just terrible. Those are one of my observation. Another observation I have is that the quality of engineering in that state, I don't think it's going to pass for what we have in an advanced nation. Sorry, I'm just saying my mind. If you look at the quality of engineering work, you will find out, you will know why these roads are being, they do it today and it goes back tomorrow. They do it today and it goes back. Side drainages are not properly done. The quality of engineering is terrible. Terrible.
Doctor, to add to that, right now, like Tunde rightly said, it's raining heavily and there is flood everywhere. I watched an episode on the Wosunu. It's a radio program in Benin. They call it the Wosunu, which means what is happening, what is going on.
Yes, I say what's up.
Yes, like what's up. So this old man, there were so many of them. He said about more than 50 houses in Upper Irediawa area of Benin, that the area is flooded. A gentleman was standing, the height of the water was to his chest level. He said, this is his business is gone. This old man was crying. I'm telling you, there's no teeth. All I could see in his mouth were about 2 teeth. 2. And this old man was crying that all he has in his pocket, that he don't even have 1,000 naira in his pocket. And you wonder, and I also read that more than 500 billion has been given to the governor. The governor has received more than 500 billion in a period of 4 years. We go through this problem every year in Edo State. And the governor is an indigene of Benin. I wonder, this is his 4th year in power, the 4th year. Year in, year out, the governor is not seeing this flood for him to do something about it. Old men and old women, they don't even have a place to sleep. They are carrying their mattresses on their heads. Businesses in the whole of that area is gone. And some people are saying the governor is doing great. How can you be doing great when you are born in that city? You were born in that very city. You'll be seeing these problems year in, year out. You've been opportuned to be the governor of the state. Instead of you to rectify things, to do things, the Benin's, the Oba in those days, they built a moat around the city.
Right.
They built a moat around the city.
Right.
And even some of the residents, some of the Benin's are saying, channel this water to the moat.
The moat. Right.
Channel the water to the moat.
Yeah,
the flood is not channeled to the moat. So the people are suffering, and this is just the beginning of rainy season in Nigeria. And Edo State, the people are going to suffer a lot. So I wonder what the governor is doing. I'm not happy. I don't want to be, we're all political animals, but I really don't want to criticize anybody. But the truth of the matter must be said. You are from this city. You are from this very city. Do something for your people. Flooding has been a problem. Solve that problem of flooding for these people. Insecurity is another thing in the state. Insecurity. Farmers are crying that they cannot go to their farms because of the herdsmen. I don't know what is going on. So,
David, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The government of Uganda is actually asking people to leave the flooded wetlands and never come back. What do you think of proposals?
Such proposals, because the topography is really terrible. I agree. Yeah,
I think the water can be channeled. The first thing we have to do first, let's channel the water, the flood to the moat.
Drainage system.
Yes, let's channel the flood to the moat. When you channel the flood to the moat, then from there we can see. Maybe the drainage, maybe they don't even have a good drainage system.
Not at all.
They have to build drainage system. That's what I said. If this man was born in Benin proper, you went to school there, you understand? You went to university somewhere else, but you are in Nigeria, and this is your city. you want to do something for the people. You want to do something for your place. If I'm the governor of Edo State right now, I'm going to do a lot of stuff in my place. I will do something in Benin, being the capital, but I will do a lot of stuff in my place. So I don't know why the governor is not grabbing the bull by the horn and to make sure that flood is eradicated in Benin.
Yes.
Go
ahead, Queen.
Okay. We're all Nigerians, except we want to shy away from certain facts. These people, before they come on board, they have their blueprints. And all these things are stated in their blueprint that these are the things they're going to do. They recycle themselves. They come, they don't do nothing. And we all know this thing is like it's part of us in Africa, especially in Nigeria. We know what to do, but we don't want to do it. Not until maybe the younger generation stand up to their feet and chase these people out. Government votes money every year for reconstruction of roads and other amenities, but they've never done that. We know if we are saying, okay, maybe the quality they're using is not good, the engineering aspect is bad. We all know they're not going to do it. We need to stand on our feet and fight them. That is the only thing. I get emotional when these things are being discussed because we know the right thing to do, but we've never done it. And Nigeria is very rich in all mineral resources you can think of. People like us, we don't have any business coming to America. But is Nigeria conducive for people to live? Do we have what it takes with the richness we have in Africa, in Nigeria as a country? No, we know this. The only thing, we will not say the truth. The governors, they know what to do, but they're never going to do it. And it's going to continue to be this way. Except the younger generation, the business people should stand up and raise good soldiers to take over from these people. That is the best we can do. If we continue to discuss it, we're not going to see the end of it. We're just going to talk and nothing is going to be done. The governor is from that state. Our governors are from their state. They do not take somebody from Gombe to come and govern maybe Lagos State or Edo State. They are from the same state, but they refuse to do nothing. Lagos was a bit okay for Fashola, but how many Fasholas do we have? We know what to do, but we're not going to do it. We need to step up our game. That is the truth. We need to step up our game. When they give you money, vote for me, you don't just vote your conscience. Don't vote for the little change they're going to give you. We know what to do, but we're not doing it. We have to be realistic, and the future lies in our hands. And I think that's going to be the end for the program for today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen has spoken, and she has spoken for everybody. We're out of time now for this program. I would like for each person that's it's on the show to say their goodbyes so we can round up. Once again, everything that we have done, we wish America, happy birthday, July 4th. Please celebrate responsibly and be careful if you're using any fireworks. That's one thing I was about, we're almost forgotten. Be careful if you're doing any fireworks. Those things are dangerous. They are fun to look at, but be careful. Read the instructions on the label. Do not shoot fireworks at somebody else. Make sure there's a distance between you and the firework you're exploding and all those kind of stuff. Please be careful. Be very, very careful. There's a lot of, accidents and things happen during this 4th of July and people run to the emergency room and all that. There's so much stuff in the hospital right now going on with COVID. They don't want to be dealing with fireworks injury and all the rest of the stuff. So starting with Mr. Charles.
Yes, Tunde, I think we're out of time. Unfortunately, as the conversation getting interesting, there's no more time to talk about that because I have a lot to say about Nigeria, but that will be next week. Okay. For our listeners, thank you for listening for today, and you all be safe and happy 4th of July.
All right. Mr. Dodo.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll be expecting you next time. Same station. Stay safe. Today is the 4th of July. Enjoy responsibly. Wear your mask at all times. You want to be alive. 2021, 4th of July. God bless you.
I'd also like to hear from Mr. Jason, our studio engineer. Jason is awesome. He's always, he's always there for us. Mr. J.
I just want to say thank you, and it's been a pleasure to be with my brothers and sisters this afternoon. And happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th, Mr. Jason. And the Queen.
Well, thank you so very much. I can't say goodbye without appreciating our sponsors. Deep Foods and Seafood and Food, we say thank you to you. Africa International Food, Heritage International Food, we say thank you. God bless you. Radio Sun International Food, thank you so much. Please drink responsibly. Be safe out there. We're coming back next week to still talk about African American brothers and sisters. Always remember you women out there, respect your husband. They are your king. We are the coin. Support them in whatever they do, and the world will be better living. Thank you so very much. See you next week.
Well, again, the Queen has said this all. When the Queen speaks, there's nothing else that can come behind the Queen. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Once again, we'll be up again next week. This is the David Adodo Show on African Voices Radio. Thank you for contributing. For those who contributed online, I didn't get a chance to read your comments, but I did respond online. But thank you all for your contributions. We'll see you all again next week. Thank you and God bless. Happy 4th of July.
Okay, who they run things? Who they run things? Who they run things? Ikelebe, Yegede, Ashengele, Kizukele, Suke, Buke. I see,
WLIF HD2 Baltimore.
The all-new Praise 106.1, giving our city just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station. Praise 106.1.
From the Big Al Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney.
Now that the city has opened, traffic will increase and accidents will too. And Big Al will see that injustice doesn't. His knowledge will help you navigate your case and get you the biggest settlement. So call my friend Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Big Al is a law firm of Richard Klein.
Summer is open, and Lowe's is home for the 4th of July. This year, make your backyard the best place to be for the 4th, starting with the grill. Get the Charbroil 5-burner gas grill now, just $1.99. Then, fire up the eats and enjoy every bite outside with select patio furniture and outdoor decor, up to 15% off. Whatever you dream up for this 4th at home, visit Lowe's to make it the best it can be. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Baltimore's new Praise station, the new Praise 106.1.
The gift that looks good on you.
You were born with a grace.